No, sir.
This meeting is being recorded.
So now, yesterday and in the first class, we had understood as to the basics of GST as well as the scope of supply under GST. Now, after understanding the scope, one thing is pretty clear that the scope is as it should be, which by this I mean to say that the scope under GST or supply is huge. It is large. It is an extended or rather an extensive scope wherein everything gets covered. So now when you have covered up everything, you need to also create a section wherein you have the power to charge GST on it. So today we would be learning about the charging section. Now this being said, we all know that under GST or rather under indirect taxes, there are two ways by which the government collects taxes as well as the government levies taxes. Now, what are these two ways? One is known as forward charge mechanism or FCM. Another is known as reverse charge mechanism, that is RC. Now, as we had understood as well as we had seen in our first need of GST class, we had seen this example that there was Mr. DP who had transferred goods to Miss Shivi. Under it, what was happening was Mr. DP was doing sale of goods or services or both for say 1000 rupees. Against that, he was also collecting say tax at the rate of 18%, 180. So here, what was happening was Miss Shivi, being the recipient, was paying tax to Mr. DP, being the supplier. And we have understood and we also know that there are always three parties whenever there is tax involved. So this supplier was collecting taxes on behalf of the government and paying it to the government. So if I have to draw out a chain as to how the taxes flow, whenever the taxes flow from the recipient to the supplier to the government, it is called as forward charge mechanism. I hope I am clear as to what is forward charge mechanism. Now let us understand what is reverse charge mechanism. Let us take an example. Say Miss Shivi is a lawyer. Mr. Nihal is a businessman. Say some party X has filed a suit on Nihal. Nihal in turn approached Miss Shivi that Shivi madam, please defend this suit or please defend me against this suit. Now Shivi madam says, Nihal, I would charge you rupees 10,000 per hearing. Nihal is like, fine. Then Shivi madam says, my fees is rupees 10,000 as to whatever are the GST implications, they are not mine. You would have to tackle them. So then Nihal checks out as to what are the GST implications on Nihal as a businessman when he receives a lawyer service or an advocate service, or if I have to put it more polishedly, a legal service. Nihal checks out and understands that as a recipient, he has to pay tax directly to the government. So when the recipient pays directly to the government, such a mechanism is known as reverse charge mechanism. Have you understood what is a forward charge mechanism and what is a reverse charge mechanism?
Yes, sir.
Now, please note that this reverse charge mechanism, these are specified by way of notifications, which we would be seeing as and when the time comes. But to give you an overview, these are the two ways by which the government collects, sorry, firstly it levies and secondly it collects GST from the taxpayers. So now we would be understanding the charging section. Under the charging section, the government has kept a power for itself that it should, or rather it can levy taxes on intrastate supplies. Now, what can the supplies be of? Supplies can be of goods or services or both. Now, please note one thing, I repeat, one thing has been specifically kept out of this charging section, and that is a sin good called as alcoholic liquor for human consumption. And when I say that this alcoholic liquor for human consumption has been kept out, what I mean is, if this particular item has to be brought under the ambit of GST, I may have to very well amend my charging section. And hence, it is very clear that the government has no intention to bring alcoholic liquor for human consumption under the ambit of GST. Now, the reason for that is very, very simple. The revenue of the liquor goes to the state governments, and alcoholic liquor, or rather alcohol, is a cash cow. On a very practical note, on an emotional note, the government feels that alcohol has destroyed more homes than anything else, and therefore we want to keep it as expensive as possible. And how would they keep it as expensive as possible? By not getting it into GST. I hope I am clear till here.
Yes, sir.
Now you will have to levy taxes, but for that you also need value on value specified or as determined under section 15. This we would see whenever we see section. But you also need to specify rates at the rates not exceeding how much percent? 20%. What can be the highest CGST rate? It can be 20%. And please note that the rates are all specified by the government themselves. Now, I have used the term for the very first time, a new term, that is intrastate supplies. Now, what do you mean by the term intrastate supplies? It means that the place of supply and to location of supplier. Achha, now tell me, they can be within the same state or they can be within different states. So whenever the place of supply and the location of supplier are within the same state, we refer such supplies as intra-state supplies. And whenever the place of supply and the location of supplier are in different states, we refer to such supplies as interstate supplies. Now I know that I have not taught anything or not discussed anything about what is place of supply, how to determine it, how to determine the location of supply. So now, for now, till the time we don't see the exact nitty-gritties of it, I'll give you a very simple understanding. Say for example, there is a shop. There is a shop of say mobile phones located in Mumbai. Who is the owner of it? Shivi is the owner of that mobile shop. Now, if I have to say from where is Shivi selling her mobile phone, it is Mumbai. Nihal goes to Shivi's shop and asks her, Madam, एक एप्पल का आईफोन है क्या आपके पास में? She would be like, है. मैडम सैमसंग के फोन है आपके पास? ओप्पो, वीवो? She is like, सब है. आपको कौन सा मोबाइल चाहिए? आप मुझे वो कंपनी का नाम बता दीजिए, मॉडल नंबर बता दीजिए, मैं आपको मेरे गोडाउन से गुड्स निकाल के आपको अभी का अभी डिलीवरी दे देती हूँ. तो यहाँ पर क्या हुआ? निहाल ने ऑन द स्पॉट उनकी दुकान से मोबाइल खरीद लिया, मोबाइल की डिलीवरी ले ली. अब यहाँ पर प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई होगा शिवीज शॉप. Now where is Shivi's shop? That is again in. So when these both are same, my supply is intrastate, and if they are different, say शिवी का शॉप कर्नाटका में है, निहाल ने घर बैठ के ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर किया, निहाल मुंबई में है, तो This is Karnataka, this is Mumbai. So then my supply becomes an interstate supply. Have you understood what is an intrastate supply and what is an interstate supply?
Yes, sir.
So whenever an intrastate supply takes place, you would levy CGST plus SGST on a transaction, and whenever an interstate supply takes place, you would levy IGST on that transaction. Please note, all of this would again be repeated whenever we see our section 7 and section 8 of the IGST Act. I have only given a layman's understanding as to how you identify whether it is an intrastate supply or it is an interstate supply. Now, please note, the role of recipient is negligible, or rather it is not there if you have to determine the type of supply. Why? Because ultimately the recipient will pay tax to the supplier and the supplier deposits to the government. Therefore, the compliance burden of identifying whether a particular supply is intrastate or interstate has been casted on the supplier themselves and not on the recipients. I hope I am clear till now. Next, now there are certain elements which have been specifically kept outside the scope of GST, but with an intention, with an aim to bring them within the ambit of GST at a future date. Now, what are those items? Petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas, and this is petroleum crude. So, if I have to ask anybody today, what are the items that are outside the scope of GST, he would ideally give me a list of 6 items. From alcoholic liquor for human consumption to petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas, and petroleum. Now, there is a difference between alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petrol and the other products. Now, the difference is, whereas petrol, diesel, and the other products, the act itself specifies that yes, it is about to be brought in within the ambit of GST from a future date. There appears to be no intention to get alcoholic liquor for human consumption within GST. I hope I am clear till now. So I hope what is the difference between alcoholic liquor and these remaining products. This was a part of my section 9.1. This was a part of my section 9. Again, which act are we referring? We are referring to the CGST Act. as we had understood that there are two ways in which collect, charge and levy taxes. It talks about FCM. It again talks about FCM. So there are two sections dedicated as charging section to collect taxes on an FCM base. If after FCM there comes reverse charge. So for reverse charge mechanism, they have bifurcated it into two parts. Part number 1, it says that we as government would identify the supplies and notify them. So it is whose job to identify the supplies? It is the government's job. It is whose job to notify the services? It is again the government's job to notify them as well as to the particular element would be covered, or rather the particular goods or services would be covered under the reverse charge mechanism. Another part is they say that if you have purchased from an unregistered person, even then you are supposed to pay tax under the reverse charge basis to the government. Now please note as well as understand and evaluate that whereas this is a lot specific, this is way too general, and at the same time this is way too vague. Why we understand it to be vague? It is because say Nihal as an individual has a GST and he goes and approaches say a dosa wala who for sure does not has a GST. If and implemented, if sorry rather the law is implemented in this manner that any purchase from an unregistered person is liable to reverse charge mechanism, then it has a very far reaching implication, and therefore even the government thought that this may become a matter of say not promoting of the startups, because any startup or rather any entity to be covered under GST, for that you require a turnover of say at least 20 lakh rupees if you are in services, and it can go up to 40 lakh rupees if you deal in only goods. Now this was not the aim that if you want to do business you need to compulsorily have a GSTIN, or if you don't have a GSTIN we would not permit you to do business. Now because of that the government thought that no, we will have to modify and amend this section from its original version. So now what they did is they again said that yes, purchases from an unregistered person would stay, but we would specify and notify as to which unregistered person and who is the person who is buying it. Therefore, if you appreciate, both of them are identified plus notified by the government. Now, a person who is dealing in this category, or rather, from now onwards, we will say this as 9.3 and we will say this as 9.4. So a person who is in 9.3 may be registered, may be an unregistered person. But a person who is under 9.4 will always be an unregistered person. Is this much clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So this much is clear. We again go to an emerging business, that is e-commerce operators. I'll give you a example to this thing only. An e-commerce operator is an Amazon or a Flipkart. To understand and evaluate. Why I say it is an Amazon or a Flipkart? It is because how do they operate, or rather what do they do? Say Shivi has a product, Shivi would list it on Amazon. Shivi will list it on Flipkart. So once these products are listed on Amazon and Flipkart, at that point of time, if Nihal is the end user, Nihal gets to see the products. And once Nihal gets to see the products, if he likes it, Amazon and Flipkart, or rather, or Flipkart would notify it to Shivi, and then Shivi would give those products to Amazon and Flipkart, and they would get it delivered. That is how they operate. Now, if we appreciate that Amazon or a lot of e-commerce operators are all foreign entities. Now, when they are foreign entities, they claim that we do not have a place of business in India. And because we do not have a place of business in India, any law that you make in India is not applicable to us. On the basis of such claims, the government thought that we need to at least compel them to have a place of business in India. So how to compel them? They introduced section 9. What is section 9.5 reading as? The government, on the recommendations of the council, specifies the categories of services specify the categories of services, the tax on which shall be paid by the e-commerce operators if they are supplied through the same. Okay, so I've given you an example of goods. Sorry, I'll have to give you an example of services. But be it goods, be it services, the modus operandi remains the same. So now who is made liable to pay tax? This e-commerce operator is being made liable to pay tax if the services are supplied through it. The services are supplied through it, the e-commerce operator becomes liable to pay tax. Now, as I said, Amazon said, I do not have a place of business in India. So what the government says? The government says, if you have a place of business, the answer to it can be yes, or to it can be no. If you have a place of business in India, good, pay tax. If you do not have a place of business in India, then appoint a person. Then what to do? Appoint a person who is liable to do all your compliances and pay the taxes. If you have appointed a person, well and good. But if you say that I do not have a place of business in India and I have not even appointed a person, then the government again comes back to you and it says, even if you have a place of business in India and have not appointed a person, appoint one. Appoint one. So the difference between the two of them here is, here a person is already appointed and here they are asking you to appoint if you want to continue your business in India. Is this much clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, this being said, there are three specific services which you will also appreciate, and I have also appreciated that they deserve a special treatment. Now, what are these three services? One, transportation of passengers. Two, hotels, restaurants, inns. And three, they are your general utility services. Transportation of passengers. Chalo, example, Ola, Uber. Hotels in Zion. Example, Oyo. For Ola and Uber, what happens is, say Shivi wants to go from Bandra to Andheri. Okay, both are in Mumbai. She wants to go from Bandra to Andheri. She removes out her mobile phone. She sees, yes, Ola is comfortable. Ola is appropriate for me. She books out a cab. She books out a cab on Ola, and then she travels. Who is the service provider over here? Ola or the cab driver? The answer to that is
Ola.
Ola. If you feel Ola, then you are mistaken. The correct answer to that is the cab driver. Why? Is because the cab driver comes to your spot, he picks you up, and then he drops you to your desired location. Now, the services are actually performed by the cab driver, but for the government, the cab driver is just registered on Ola, and therefore Ola is the service provider, Shivi is the service receiver. If the cab driver would have directly provided services to Shivi, there would have been no GST impacts, no GST implications. But here, Ola is considered to be the service provider, and therefore GST is payable by Am I clear till here?
Yes, sir.
With respect to hotels and the general utility services, we can very well bifurcate into two parts. Say for example, I am a hotel NJ. I can get bookings from OYO, and people can also generally walk in and book a space for themselves. So now it was, or rather it is like, if your turnover is greater than 20 lakhs, the hotel or the inn or the rent house is anyways liable for getting a GST number, and therefore all the compliances of GST have to be done by the hotel, the restaurant, the inns. Okay. Restaurants are not covered over here. So it is the basically all the hotels that provides you a lodging and boarding. So if you are anyways liable to be registered under the GST law, that limit applies to you independently, and the limit also has to be checked independently. Now, if your turnover is less than or equal to 20 lakhs, you are not required to do up a individual GST registration, and therefore OYO is liable to the GST. And the same things apply for the general utility services. Now, if I have to summarize the entire section or relating to an e-commerce operator, I can summarize it as something like this. If you are in transportation of passengers, the e-commerce operator shall always be liable. If you are in hotels or under general utility services, the e-commerce operator shall be liable only if the e-commerce operator shall be liable only if the service provider, the real service provider, is not liable. I hope I am clear till here.
Yes, sir.
Am I clear?
Yes, sir. So, as the second point, for instance, we have Swiggy. So, Swiggy will not be liable. Any restaurant, maybe KFC, is liable.
Okay. The
It means that.
restaurant, not the restaurant. Again, I'm telling you, the restaurants are kept out. It is hotels, anything that provides you lodging and boarding.
Oh, okay.
That is the reason, I had misquoted it in the start, so I had to rectify this.
Oh, okay. So, it doesn't cover restaurant, it covers hotels and
It covers hotels, guest house, inns.
Okay.
Okay. And we are taking up a break for 5 minutes because I have to do something. I hope it is fine. We'll start again at 10 to 10 if it's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So is the charging section now clear? Section 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5.
Yes, sir.
After that, let us now understand what are the charge items that come under your reverse charge mechanism. Now, please note, both the goods as well as the services are specified. So to start it off, and I'll tell you again, you need to remember bare minimum the section numbers plus the notification numbers of the charging section, the scope of supply, the RCM notifications, and the exemption notifications. इतना तो please section number याद और section number और notification number ध्यान में रखना. याद करने को नहीं कहूंगा क्योंकि the more you read it, the more it automatically helps you to remember itself. So now let us start अपना 9.3 की notifications. The first notification is notification number 4/2017 as amended by time to time. So याद रखना, you need to remember the base notification and not all the notifications which have amended the set base or rather the principal notification. What is section 4/2017 telling me? I would also request you to please keep your notes open so that you understand where the special focus and the special attention is drawn whenever we see a reverse charge notification. Please note, the first important person is the supplier. Who is the supplier? Second, the goods that are being sold, the goods that are being transferred. These are the two most critical elements whenever you sit and evaluate whether the particular RCM applies to this or the particular RCM does not apply to this. Let us check the notification for 2017. Entry number 1, 2, 3 and 4. Supplier is an agriculturalist. What do you mean by agriculturalist? निहाल, सिंपल लैंग्वेज में फार्मर खुद प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है तो भी फार्मर. If he is getting his farm produced or rather his farm cultivated from a labor, even then you are a farmer. If you have a family farm which you are cultivating or getting cultivated from a labor, again you are a farmer. In its true sense is called as an agriculturalist. So now we need to understand, I am sure that my supplier has to be a farmer if my product has to be under RC. So now let us read as to what the products are. The first product is cashew nut. Cashew nut means kaju. Now whether they are peeled or not peeled, cashew nut remains a cashew nut. Then BD wrapper, more popularly called as tendu. And then tobacco leaves and raw cotton. Tobacco leaves cashew nut, BD wrapper, tobacco leaves and raw cotton. Now if the supplier is an agriculturalist, then it is RCM. So if the supplier is not an agriculturalist, say for example आप जाते हो मिठाई की दुकान, मिठाई की दुकान से आप उसको कहते हो कि मुझे कैशू नट चाहिए, तो वो जो मिठाई की दुकान वाला है वो एग्रीकल्चरलिस्ट है क्या? तो जब वो एग्रीकल्चरलिस्ट नहीं है तो क्या आरसीएम अप्लाई होगा? नो, आरसीएम तो तभी अप्लाई होगा जब आपका सप्लायर एक एग्रीकल्चरलिस्ट हो। आई होप you are very crystal clear about the difference between when RCM and when RCM. Second, silk yarn. Or the next product that I should say is silk yarn. कौन प्रोड्यूस करेगा उसको? Any person. कोई भी भले ही करो, अगर आपने सिल्क यार्न खरीदा है तो आरसीएम एप्लीकेबल। उसके बाद सप्लाई ऑफ लॉटरी। लॉटरी कौन सप्लाई करता है? स्टेट गवर्नमेंट। या अदर जो लॉटरी टिकट्स होते हैं कौन सप्लाई करता है? स्टेट गवर्नमेंट। किसको सप्लाई करती है? एजेंट। जो लॉटरी सेलिंग एजेंट होता है उसको लॉटरी टिकट सप्लाई किए जाते हैं। सो वहां पर व्हेन आई से दैट इट इज कवर्ड अंडर आरसीएम, द एजेंट is supposed to pay taxes of the lottery, the supply of lottery that he receives from the state government. Next, again it is again a government service only. Used vehicles, seized and confiscated goods, old and used goods, waste and स्क्रैप। so यहाँ पर अपन ने कितनी चीज कवर कर ली? 4। यूज्ड व्हीकल्स, सीज्ड गुड्स, कॉन्फिस्केटेड गुड्स, ओल्ड एंड यूज्ड गुड्स, वेस्ट एंड स्क्रैप। सॉरी 6 चीजों को। सो यहाँ पर हु हैज टू बी द सप्लायर? द सप्लायर हैज टू बी द स्टेट और द सेंट्रल और द यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट और अ लोकल authority. And who can be the recipient? The recipient can be any registered person. Now please note that there is a difference between any person and any registered person. अगर निहाल एक अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन जाके सेकेंड हैंड गुड्स खरीदता है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से तो आरसीएम अट्रैक्ट नहीं होता। लेकिन अगर शिवी एक रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन जाके सेकेंड हैंड गुड्स खरीदती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से तो श्योरली आरसीएम अट्रैक्ट होता है। मैं इसको आपके लिए ड्रॉ कर देता हूं। सप्लायर, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, लोकल अथॉरिटी। goods, second hand, waste, scrap can be supplied to an unregistered person, can be supplied to a registered person. When it is to an unregistered person, no RCM. If it is to a registered person, yes RCM. The final product is primary sector lending certificate. When a primary sector lending certificate is supplied by any person, obviously has to be registered. So by any registered person to any registered person, it is under RCM. I hope I am clear. अच्छा, ये जो अपन ने देखा है ना, ये सारे किसकी बातें हो रही थी? गुड्स। अब अपन क्या चीज चेक करेंगे, अगेन सेक्शन कौन सा है, services. So now we would be checking up the services which are covered under reverse charge mechanism. Now please note, गुड्स में खाली 7 आइटम थे, सर्विसेज की लिस्ट थोड़ी लंबी है, एज वेल एज थोड़ी चैलेंजिंग भी है, एज वेल एज सर्विसेज की लिस्ट फ्यूचर में रिपीट भी होएगी कोई अलग तरीके से, जहां पर फाइनली जाकर अपन एक कंक्लूडिंग एलिमेंट ड्रॉ करेंगे फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज, for a lot of sectors, for a lot of services. So please understand the list of services very, 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 very well. First service, any service supplied by any person who is located in non-taxable territory to any person other than non-taxable online recipient. Sorry, not the notification number. And this comes from notification number 10/2007. So चलिए सर्विसेज मैंने ऐसे रीड तो कर ही लिए. Who is the supplier? Somebody who is not in India, right? A service, any service supplied by a person who is located in non-taxable territory. And as we all know that the GST law applies to the whole of India, so any person who is not in India and supplying services is in non-taxable territory. Services कौन सी हो सकती है? They can be any services. So supplier is located in non-taxable territory. Services can be any. Recipient has to be any person located in taxable territory, except, what is this exception? Non-taxable online recipient. So here it becomes very crucial to understand who is the recipient. क्यों? सर्विसेज तो आपने कह दिया कोई भी हो सकती है, सप्लायर के लिए सिर्फ एक चीज रख दी कि भाई आप टैक्सेबल टेरिटरी में नहीं होने चाहिए. रेसिपिएंट के लिए बोल दिया टैक्सेबल टेरिटरी में होना चाहिए, लेकिन एक एक्सेप्शन ड्रॉ आउट कर दिया. नाउ व्हाट इज दैट एक्सेप्शन? नॉन टैक्सेबल ऑनलाइन रेसिपिएंट. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ द टर्म नॉन टैक्सेबल ऑनलाइन रेसिपिएंट? Is it given here? No, it is not given over here. I'll give you an example of it. The examples of it are ICAI, ICSI, etc. Just a second, let me go and browse through your notes if I can get a proper definition of it. I don't see it over here. It's not there as well. wait, I would give you out this definition maybe in the next class, because I'll have to open a lot of bare eggs for that. But for understanding purpose, it is somebody like an ICAI or an ICSL.
Okay.
Second service is that of Goods Transportation Agency. More popularly called as GTA. For a GTA, ये सर्विस क्या देगा आपको? What is the service? सप्लायर कौन है मेरा? गुड्स ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एजेंसी. सो सर्विस क्या होगी? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ गुड्स. रेसिपिएंट कौन होंगे? सारे के सारे जो स्पेसिफाइड है. पहला, फैक्ट्री society registered under the Societies Act, factory registered under the Factories Act, any cooperative society established by or under any other law. So आपकी सोसाइटी भी रजिस्टर्ड है और कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी भी रजिस्टर्ड है, या अदर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी भी कवर्ड है. Any person who is registered under the CGST Act is also covered. आपका body corporate, that is your private limited company is covered, public limited company is covered, and LLP is also covered because LLP is also a body corporate. Any partnership firm, whether it is registered or it is not registered, मतलब एक पार्टनरशिप फर्म की रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए रजिस्टर ऑफ फर्म्स होता है ROF. सो वेदर यू आर कवर्ड अंडर और अदर रजिस्टर्ड अंडर दैट ROF और यू आर नॉट रजिस्टर्ड अंडर दैट ROF, you are liable for RCM if you receive GTA services. Any casual taxable person located in the taxable territory. Now what is a casual taxable person? We would see it very say I believe after a few days, as and when we cover up the topic of registration. But ऐसे मजा नहीं आएगा आपको. आप बोलोगे ये तो निहाल सा फ्यूचर में डाल. तो मैं आपको एक स्मॉल छोटा सा एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. निहाल is a person registered in say Mumbai. Nihal goes to Karnataka to provide certain services. Nihal does not have a fixed person or a client to whom he is providing of that service. So Nihal has simply gone over there and he is standing on, say, he has booked up a space for himself. He is standing over there waiting for anybody to turn up to his stall so that he can discuss about his services and he can provide services to them. Out of somewhere, Shivi appears there. She asks Nihal, who are you? Nihal says, I am a GST practitioner. I train people under GST for GST. And I also have a small CA firm. So Shivi is like, train me. Okay, for an example, Shivi is like, come on, train me under GST. And Nihal is like, okay, fine. So where would you like the training to happen? She is like, right now, I have a particular doubt. This is the doubt. And therefore, you are supposed to answer me that doubt, answer my doubt. And whatever are your charges, please take them. Nihal is like, fine, okay. For Nihal, Nihal to side. For the government of Karnataka, where Nihal lives, is it a revenue loss? A thinking to it tells yes. Why? Why? Had Nihal undertaken a contract from Shivi sitting in Mumbai, what would have Nihal charged? Nihal would have charged an IGST to it. Now, because Nihal has not taken up a contract, Nihal has only gone to Karnataka as a person. The government of Karnataka says, do you have a place of business? Nihal is like, no, I don't have it in Karnataka. Government is like, okay. Have you provided taxable service? Nihal is like, yes. So it orders Nihal, do one thing. Because you have come here casually and you did not have any idea as to whether a service would be given, it would be given to whom, and it would be given for how much duration. You have come here casually, so get registered yourself as a casual taxable person as well in the state of Karnataka. I hope the basic underlying meaning of the term casual taxable person is clear. Now, please note, we would again be discussing all of it in detail as and when the topic of registration comes into picture. For now, is the service clear of GTA?
Yes, sir.
So the recipients have to be specified. गुड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एजेंसी है, इतना आसान तो हो नहीं सकता, because you people would be either in internship or in job or in practice. This is one of the most complex service from the GST perspectives. अब चलिए इसको थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स करते हैं. अभी तक तो मैंने बहुत ज्यादा सिंपल रखा है. नाउ लेट अस कॉम्प्लेक्स इट अप. जीटीए को बोला, जीटीए you should not be charging GST at the rate of 6%, which means जीटीए के लिए दो रेट्स पॉसिबल है, एक 12% और एक whatever is the rate. I'll give that rate to you. The rate is 5%. जीटीए को बोला, जीटीए अगर तुझे आरसीएम में रहना है या अगर तुझे अपनी सर्विसेज को आरसीएम में रखना है तो गलती से भी 12% का सीजीएसटी 12% का जीएसटी चार्ज मत करना यार, 6% का सीजीएसटी चार्ज मत करना. अगर तूने 6% का जीएसटी चार्ज कर दिया तो भाई यू देन शिफ्ट टू एफसीएम. You do not remain under RCM basis. Now I hope I am clear till here. And please note, this GTS service will again repeat itself in the topic of exemptions. Yahan tak any doubts or it is all clear?
Clear, sir.
Service number 3. अरे मैं भी भूल जाता हूँ यार, जीटीए सर्विस पढ़ा रहा हूँ. रेसिपिएंट्स में कुछ एक्सेप्शंस तो चाहिए ना, मैं भी सोच रहा था. Now they are specified recipients except. What are those exceptions? What are those exceptions? First, the department or establishment of a central government, state government यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट, अगर जीटीए ने इनको सर्विस दी है, इज आरसीएम एप्लीकेबल? आरसीएम इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल. सो द फर्स्ट एक्सेप्शन इज, ये तो है ही, इसके डिपार्टमेंट्स भी कवर है. सेकेंड, लोकल अथॉरिटी. थर्ड, governmental agencies. Now please note, I'll have to tell that governmental agencies, इनका दो कारण से रजिस्ट्रेशन पॉसिबल होता है. एक, दे प्रोवाइड टैक्सेबल सर्विसेज. सेकेंड, उनको एक टीडीएस की कंप्लायंस करनी होती है. ओके, से फॉर एग्जांपल आप कभी भी कोई गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेते हो तो मेरे जीएसटी एक्ट के अंदर भी एक टीडीएस कटता है. अगर ये गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज ने सिर्फ और सिर्फ टीडीएस कंप्लायंस के लिए रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया है तो दिस जीटीएस सर्विसेज पे आरसीएम इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल. अदरवाइज this RCM is applicable on government agencies. अब अगर मुझे आपको पूरा का पूरा जीटीए को समझाना है तो सप्लायर पर एक कंडीशन है. वो कंडीशन क्या है? सप्लायर, you should not charge GST at 6%. सर्विसेज तो चलो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ गुड्स की है. रेसिपिएंट की आपने मुझे एक लिस्ट दे दी, वो लिस्ट में 3 एक्सेप्शंस निकाल दी. पहला, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट और डिपार्टमेंट्स और एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स ऑफ द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. सेकेंड, लोकल अथॉरिटीज. थर्ड, गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज, बट only and only if they have taken up the registrations for providing or for compiling with, rather for complying with the TDS registration, the TDS provisions of the GST. GTA पूरा क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Next service. Services provided by an individual advocate. Services provided by an advocate, firm of advocates to a business entity in taxable territory. Now tell me one thing, what is the meaning that you understand from the term business entity? See, if I have to tell the meaning of the term business entity, I can only say one thing. I am an entity who does business. And an entity can be an individual, can be a partnership firm, can be a private limited company, can be a public limited company, can be an LLP, can be anybody else. So, advocate की service plus firm of advocates की service. If you are a business entity in taxable territory, it is liable to RC. Now, please note the GTS service, this service, and I believe a couple of more services that we will be discussing would again repeat themselves in exemption ka topic. So is this clear?
Yes.
No, please note or understand. एडवोकेट या फर्म ऑफ एडवोकेट्स आपको कौन सी सर्विस देगा? लीगल
service.
Services supplied by an arbitral tribunal to a business entity. I believe बहुत सिंपल सी बात है. Arbitral tribunal business entity. Arbitral tribunal क्या होता है मालूम है?
जहाँ आर्बिट्रेशन होती है.
Absolutely. जहाँ पे भी आर्बिट्रेशन होती है वो आपकी आर्बिट्रल ट्रिब्यूनल होती है. उसमें कोई भी अगर बिजनेस एंटिटी आप हो, आपको सर्विसेज दी है तो इट इज कवर्ड अंडर आरसी. Now please note, an arbitral tribunal is also like a court only, but the difference is जहां पर अगर आप हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट को अप्रोच करते हो तो वहां पर आप शेड्यूल 3 में कवर होते हो. अगर आप एक आर्बिट्रल ट्रिब्यूनल को अप्रोच करते हो तो आप सेक्शन 9(3) में कवर होते हो. आरसीएम यहाँ पर एप्लीकेबल है, बट हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे अगर आप जाते हो तो ये आरसीएम एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता. फिफ्थ, स्पॉन्सरशिप सर्विस. Recipient has to be body corporate, partnership firm in taxable territory. Sponsorship का मीनिंग क्या होता है?
Providing money for some.
Providing money for some event. You know, आप कोई इवेंट कर रहे हो, मैं बोल देता हूँ कि चल चल पूरा इवेंट का खर्चा मैं उठा लूंगा, मैं तेरा इवेंट स्पॉन्सर कर दूंगा.
बस तुम मुझे एडवर्टाइज कर दो.
बस एब्सोल्युटली मेरा नाम लिखा रहेगा दैट दिस इवेंट इज स्पॉन्सर्ड बाय से मिस्टर एक्स. तो बाहर बोर्ड जो लगाएगा उस पे मेरा नाम लिख देना दैट दिस इज अ स्पॉन्सर्ड इवेंट, एंड देन तेरा 1 रुपए का खर्चा नहीं, ऑल द सर्विसेज इज योर्स एंड ऑल द मनी इज माइन. यहाँ पर याद रखना, इफ यू आर एक्सट्रीमली हैप्पी विद समबडी यू कैन स्टिल स्पॉन्सर देम, बट अगर आप एक इंडिविजुअल को स्पॉन्सर करते हो तो आरसीएम वगैरह का चक्कर नहीं है. बट अगर आप एक पार्टनरशिप फर्म या बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट को स्पॉन्सर करते हो तो आरसीएम इज एप्लीकेबल. नेक्स्ट, सर्विसेज सप्लाइड बाय. अच्छा, यहाँ पर मजा आएगा. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट, as well as local authority. Service can be any. And I hope you are copying it down in the manner in which I am writing. Otherwise, what will happen is you would again have to run through the entire notification, pick up the main points and make up this list. So I am sure and hopeful that you are copying it down. If you are not, tell me, I would just open up the previous screen so that you can copy it down after we have discussed this service.
No sir, I am copying it.
You're copying it. Fantastic. Recipient can be any business entity. In taxable territory. Do you really feel government की सर्विस इतनी आसान होती है? Is it easy to deal with government at least? No, it's not. सर्विसेज में अब उन्होंने बोला यार एक कुछ एक्सेप्शन निकालते यार, यू नो वी डोंट वांट आवर लाइव्स टू स्टे सो सिंपल, so they have drawn out certain exceptions. So any except this few. Till the time you are understanding GST, after you have understood GST, you practice GST or you don't practice GST, always remember renting of immovable property is always FCM, whether it is provided by the government, whether it is provided by Nihal Chand, whether it is provided by Shivi, whether it is provided by Mr. X, Y, Z, V, कोई भी होने दो, अगर रेंटिंग ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी है तो इट इज ऑलवेज 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 फॉरवर्ड चार्ज मैकेनिज्म. सो अगर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने शिवी को रेंटिंग ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी दी है, क्या लगने वाला है? फॉरवर्ड चार्ज, नॉट कवर्ड अंडर आरसी. स्पेसिफाइड सर्विसेज. What are the specified services? First, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोस्ट्स. द पोस्ट डिपार्टमेंट की सर्विस होती है. पोस्ट डिपार्टमेंट आपको कितने टाइप की सर्विसेज दे सकता है? तो बहुत सारी देता है. एक होती है नॉर्मल पोस्ट, फिर वहां पर वो हमारे बेसिक सेविंग अकाउंट खुलवाता है. एक हमको स्पीड पोस्ट की सर्विस देता है, एक्सप्रेस पोस्ट की सर्विस देता है, इंश्योरेंस देता है. इतनी सारी सर्विसेज आपको पोस्ट डिपार्टमेंट देता है. जब वो इतनी सारी सर्विसेज देता है तो रेसिपिएंट्स कितने हो सकते हैं? सर या तो हम हो सकते हैं और दे कैन बी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, लोकल अथॉरिटी और यूनियन टेरिटरी. लोकल अथॉरिटी, यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट, और इट कैन बी अदर्स. नाउ प्लीज नोट, अगर पोस्टल डिपार्टमेंट ने कोई भी सर्विस सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, यूनियन टेरिटरी गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, लोकल अथॉरिटी को दी है तो भाई इट इज exempt, but it is not under RC. ठीक है. अगर अदर्स को दी है, अगर किसको दी है सर्विसेज? अदर्स को दी है, तो इट इज अंडर FCM. क्यों इट इज अंडर FCM? अगर आपको मुझ पे भरोसा नहीं हो, आप ये वीडियो देख रहे हो, एक काम करना, आप अपनी पसंद का कोई भी आइटम, आप अपनी पसंद का कोई भी आइटम मुझे स्पीड पोस्ट करवाना. ओके, एक पेन ही भेज देना, ठीक है, स्पीड पोस्ट से. एड्रेस आपको मैं दे दूंगा, मुझे आप एक पेन भेज देना स्पीड पोस्ट से, और वो जो रिसिप्ट होती है ना, वो रिसिप्ट को जरा देखना, वहां पर लिखा रहेगा कि आपकी वैल्यू ऑफ सर्विस इतनी है प्लस नीचे GST इतना चार्ज हुआ है. सो जब आप रेसिपिएंट सप्लायर को पैसा दे रहे हो, सप्लायर गवर्नमेंट को पैसा दे रहा है, FCM ही होता है ना वो. दैट इज द रीजन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोस्ट अगर स्पीड पोस्ट देता है तो इट इज FCM एंड नॉट RCM. एंड प्लीज नोट, what we are studying is also exceptions to the service. So अगर आप exceptions to RCM पढ़ रहे हो, तो exception to RCM would be FCM only, at least for now. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second, services in relation to aircraft, vessels, etc., whether inside the port or outside the port. क्या रहने वाला है? RCM. Now services relation to ये क्या हो सकता है? Say for example आप एक वेसल लेकर आ रहे हो, वो वेसल को छोटी मोटी रिपेयरिंग की जरूरत है, तो आप पोर्ट के अंदर जाते हो, पोर्ट के अंदर जाके आप वो शिप को रिपेयर करते हो, वेसल रिपेयर करते हो. दैट इज कवर्ड अंडर FCM and not under RCM. Transportation of goods और ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर्स. देखो, कभी भी जब आप फ्यूचर में ट्रैवल करो और अगर आप ट्रेन से ट्रैवल करते हो तो है ना, एक बार एक एसी का टिकट बनवाना, या तो अगर आपके पास में ऑलरेडी एसी का टिकट है तो उसको चेक करना, वहां पर आपको जीएसटी चार्ज हुआ दिखेगा. एंड अगर आप रेसिपिएंट रेलवे सप्लायर, राइट, सो जब रेलवे आपको सर्विस दे रहा है, आपसे टैक्स कलेक्ट करके गवर्नमेंट को पे करेगा, सो दैट इज अगेन कवर्ड अंडर FC. I hope I am very clear on this part.
Yes, sir.
मैंने आपसे क्या कहा था, गवर्नमेंट की सर्विसेज कभी आसान होती है क्या? रेंटिंग ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी को लेकर वापस क्लैरिफिकेशन. हेडिंग नंबर 6 है, वो बोलते हैं सर्विसेज सप्लाइड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट टू अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. अच्छा चलो थोड़ा मॉडिफाई किया. तो जहां पर आपने रेंटिंग ऑफ इमूवेबल लिखा है ना, प्लीज राइट देयर सब्जेक्ट टू 6A, क्योंकि थोड़ा 6A में जरा सा उन्होंने मॉडिफिकेशन. सर्विसेज सप्लाइड by the central government, state government, local authority, union territory government by way of renting of immovable property to a person registered under the CGST Act. तो यहाँ पर टिक, जो आप रेंटिंग ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी दे रहे हो, आपका रेसिपिएंट कौन है? If it is an unregistered person, refer my entry number 6. If it is a registered person, refer my entry number 6 है, which means registered person है तो RCM, and if you are an unregistered person it is FC. Am I clear? I hope I. 7 के 6B 6B 6. Now let us touch a specific industry. See, as to whatever the little experience that I have, I know that there are two most complex industries in this country. One is obviously the government services, and second is the construction sector. So construction sector in its whole has so much implications, has so much to be evaluated, that the more you try to simplify it, the more complex it actually becomes. So here is another attempt of the government to simplify the construction sector. Now what is that? Supply by any person. So supplier can be any person. सर्विस इज ट्रांसफर ऑफ FSI, और उसका कुछ दूसरा नाम भी लिखा है क्या? ट्रांसफर ऑफ डेवलपमेंट राइट्स, डेवलपमेंट राइट्स और FSI. अच्छा, what do you mean by the term development rights? Say for example, I have a piece of plot, Nihal has a piece of land. Nihal is approached by, say, a builder known as Shivi Builders Private Limited. Shivi Builders Private Limited says, Nihal, you have this piece of land. Nihal is like, yes, give it to me. Nihal is like, I don't want to sell off my land. Shivi, the builders tell, we don't want the land. We only want a right to develop that land. Say, for example, if that land is appearing something like this, Shivi Builder says that we would be making up a township over here. And in that township, say we would be giving you a flat or an entire building or something like it. So what is Shivi Builders wanting? Land? No. It is only asking for a right to develop that land. I hope I am clear as to what development right is and what is the service which is being given. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
And the recipient has to be the promoter. Promoter over here means the builder for all common understanding purposes.
Okay, here promoter need to pay that tax, right?
Yes. The promoter is liable to pay taxes of GST to the government and not the person who is supplying. The next service is long-term lease of land by any person against consideration in form of an upfront amount. It can be called as anything. It can be called as premium. It can be called as a salami charge. It can be called as price. It can be called as development charges. No matter what you want to call it. And or periodic rent for construction of a project. So यहाँ पर आपको क्या मिल रहा है? Supplier can be again any person. The recipient is the promoter. And what is the supply? Long-term lease of land. अभी long-term lease कितने साल का है?
30 plus.
30 years or more. Not 30 plus is not the correct terminology. It is 30 or more. Okay. So it is 30 or more years. A periodic rent again may be paid, may not be paid for that as well. So it is not that आपने मुझे एक हेवी डिपॉजिट दिया एंड देन आप मुझे हर महीने रेंट दोगे. आप दे भी सकते हो और आप नहीं भी दे सकते हो, लेकिन जो मेन क्रक्स सर्विस है दैट इज लॉन्ग टर्म लीज ऑफ दैट लैंड. Am I clear? 6A was talking about renting of immovable property. 6B and 6C pertain to the construction sector in totality.
Yes, sir.
Services supplied by a director of a company to a company. If I believe it is got what nothing to explain on this, but मैं फिर भी समझाऊंगा. अच्छा, टेल मी, डायरेक्टर कितने टाइप के होते हैं? होल टाइम डायरेक्टर, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हो सकता है. Somebody can be independent director, specially appointed director. Correct?
Yes.
Whole time director and managing director are your employees. Employees पे तो GST नहीं लगता. Schedule 3 में देख चुके हैं अपन. तो GST किस पे लगता है? जीएसटी लगेगा इन लोगों पे, जो आप इनको सिटिंग फीस दोगे, जो आप इनको चार्जेस पे करोगे, इन सब पर जीएसटी एप्लीकेबल है। तो हाँ, अगर एक क्वेश्चन आएगा, सर मैंने होल टाइम डायरेक्टर को सैलरी तो दी है, बट सैलरी के ऊपर मैंने उसको मीटिंग अटेंड करने का 1-1 लाख रुपया दिया है, तो सिटिंग फीस पर लगेगा क्या? आंसर इज
Yes. So that means it applies to all director, irrespective of whether it's full time or independent.
सिटिंग फीस इज जस्ट एन एग्जांपल, बट जनरली जो मैनेजिंग और होल टाइम डायरेक्टर्स होते हैं, दे डू नॉट गेट पेड सिटिंग फीस और समथिंग लाइक दैट. Everything is a part of their CTC only. So then you will have to check up how is their agreement or rather their CTC drafted. जो उनका terms of employment होगा, then that becomes important. Services supplied by an insurance agent. इंश्योरेंस एजेंट, अब इंश्योरेंस एजेंट किसको सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है? मुझे, आपको या इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को? अंडरस्टैंड, अगर आपने LIC का कोई एजेंसी लिया, मैं आता हूं आपके पास में पॉलिसी खरीदने, तो you are not the supplier, you are merely an agent acting on behalf of LIC. LIC will pay you commission out of whatever is the premium that is there. So now insurance agent is supplying services to whom? Nihal or LIC? He is supplying services or she is supplying services to LIC. Commission payable by LIC to insurance agent. Therefore यहाँ पर the insurance business, the person who is into insurance business is liable to pay GST on behalf of the rather on RCM basis. No, nobody's behalf. Am I clear?
Yes. So here insurance agent is going to pay.
Insurance agency नहीं, the person who is जिसके behalf वो पॉलिसी निकाल रहा है. अगर मेरे पास में LIC की एजेंसी है तो LIC लायबल. क्लियर है?
Yes.
रिकवरी एजेंट होता है, मालूम है आप लोगों को?
लोन जब पे नहीं करते तो देखा.
अगर आपने बैंक डिफॉल्ट किया, लोन का डिफॉल्ट किया इन पेमेंट टर्म्स, तो वो लोग आते हैं, they harass you and then they try to recover money out of you. But remember, ये recovery proceedings can be initiated by banks, financial institutions, but इंडिया में आज भी लोग जमींदार और जो प्राइवेट फाइनेंसर्स है उनसे भी लोन लेते हैं. सो रिकवरी एजेंट तो दोनों भी इनिशिएट कर सकते हैं. मैं लिखता हूँ प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस या जमींदार. मेरा जो RCM है ना, RCM इज एप्लीकेबल ओवर हियर. यहाँ पर देयर इज नो RCM. So remember, if you have taken up a loan from a bank and the bank initiates recovery proceedings against you, रिकवरी एजेंट जो भी कलेक्ट करेगा चार्ज या जो भी चार्जेस लगाता है उस पर बैंक RCM में टैक्स डिपॉजिट करवाता है. आई होप आई एम वेरी क्लियर ओवर हियर.
Yes.
Services supplied by a person located in non-taxable territory by way of transportation of goods from a place outside India up to the custom stations of clearance in India. यहाँ पर कौन सी सर्विस मिली आपको वापस? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ गुड्स की. But who is the supplier? Somebody who is outside India. कहाँ तक वो सप्लाई करने वाला है?
कस्टम स्टेशन तक, क्लियरेंस प्लेस, कस्टम स्टेशन ऑफ क्लियरेंस।
up to customs station. So remember, supplier कहां पर है? Outside the country. Recipient कहां पर है? In India. सप्लाई कौन सी मिली है? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ गुड्स की। Am I clear? Please, I know यहाँ पर as and when you would read customs and its valuations, you would come to a conclusion that, sir, is it not getting taxed twice? But then that is a very future discussion to make. As of now, nothing to think on those things. As and when we would be seeing up those customs laws and the valuation aspect of it, अपन देखेंगे तब कैसे डबल टैक्सेशन होता है. But as of now यहाँ पर कुछ नहीं. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, services by author, music composer, photography. अब if you understand, music composer, photography, they are all specialized artists. म्यूजिक कंपोजर का अपना काम किसको बेचेगा? म्यूजिक कंपनी को. फोटोग्राफर किसको बेचेगा? मैगजीन्स एक्सेट्रा. तो जो आर्टिस्ट लोग होते हैं ना, आर्टिस्ट लोगों की सर्विसेज पे the artist is not supposed to discharge his tax liability, but the recipient is supposed to discharge his tax liability. Now I believe वो entry number 11 नहीं होनी चाहिए, which is not there as a part of your notes. Author अपना काम किसको बेचता है? Publishing house. Publishing. Now author has a choice whether he wants to opt for RCM or whether he wants to opt for FCM. Okay, so because author has that choice, I cannot always say कि नहीं author की services हमेशा RCM में ही रहेगी. But then again, this being said, entry number 11 में the term author is also covered, but I have still written it separately so that we understand and we expect that yes, author has a choice to make. 12 over RBI as an overseeing committee, जिसका काम क्या होता है? To guide the bank about bad loans, NPAs. It is a part of RBI only. However, they have been given special importance and therefore कोई भी ओवरसीज कमिटी अगर आरबीआई को सप्लाई देती है तो इज द पर्सन लायबल टू पे टैक्स? आरबीआई. Direct selling agents. What is direct selling agents? Direct selling agents are persons who sell high value ticket loans. Okay, वो लोग 1 करोड़ 2 करोड़ के लोन में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है. Their ticket value से starts from 50 crores, 100 crores, 200 crores. उतने बड़े जो लोन सेल करते हैं, they are your direct selling agents. किसको सप्लाई देंगे? सर कॉमन सेंस है, लोन देने का काम तो बैंक और एनबीएफसी का ही होता है. तो ये लोग सप्लाईज भी किसको देंगे? या तो बैंक को देंगे या तो एनबीएफसी को देंगे, और किसको देंगे? नो, रिमेंबर, जो डायरेक्ट सेलिंग एजेंट होते हैं ना, दे कैन बी इंडिविजुअल, दे कैन बी बॉडी, कॉर्पोरेट. मैं बात बताओ, ideally individual is a person who is less capable to manage all of his compliances, therefore individual है तो RCM, body corporate है तो FC. रेसिपिएंट कौन है? बैंकिंग कंपनी
बैंक
और NBFCs. It can be either of them. 14. Services provided by business facilitator to a to a banking company. बिजनेस फैसिलिटेटर की सर्विसेज है. ये कौन होते हैं मालूम? एक से रूरल एरिया है या एक अर्बन एरिया, चलो कोई भी ले. आप एक एरिया में बैठे हो एंड यू आर अ बैंक एंड यू वांट टू ग्रो योर बिजनेस. सो व्हाट विल यू डू? यू विल अप्रोच say Nihal. Nihal is a person who has a very good hold on say a particular area. So a particular bank say SBI bank approaches Nihal. Nihal, ये एरिया में तेरा होल्ड है, एक काम कर, हमको बिजनेस दिला, विल पे यू सर्टेन पार्ट ऑफ इट, हम तेरे को कमीशन दे देंगे. से तू अगर एक अकाउंट खुलवाता है हम उसको 200 रुपया तेरे को पर अकाउंट का पे कर देंगे. निहाल बोलता है ठीक है. So what is Nihal doing over here? Nihal is facilitating a business for bank. So business facilitator का रोल क्या होता है? वो बैंक को बिजनेस लाकर देता है, उसके बदले में कुछ इनकम मिलती है. वो जो भी इनकम होती है उस पर जो भी टैक्स लायबिलिटी होती है कौन डिस्चार्ज करेगा? बैंक्स या NBFCs. NBFCs को भी नहीं लिखा है. Let us keep it to banks. Am I clear? What is a business facilitator?
Yes, sir.
Services provided by an agent of business correspondent to a business correspondent. Simple terms में agency है यार, but it is again services. Business correspondent can be for any business. Agent of business correspondent can be for any business. So business correspondent अगर है, it can be any business. Am I clear? Last but not in the least. What is security service?
Security service like providing of this watchmen.
Providing of this watchman, providing of say bodyguards, or providing of security personnel. Security services, if they are provided by an individual, RCM. If they are provided by body corporate, FCM. But understand that the person who is receiving it, the recipient has to be a registered person. Am I clear till now? Now remember, for the purpose of GTA, we had understood कि यहाँ पर there can be a lot of specified recipients. लेकिन एक और चीज यहाँ पर याद रखने का, if you are paying for that service, you are a recipient. एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, निहाल बैठा है बॉम्बे में, मुंबई में, शिवी इज इन से कर्नाटका. निहाल is getting his goods transported from Bombay to Karnataka. तो ट्रांसपोर्ट वाले को दो तरीके से हैंडल किया जा सकता है। पहला, निहाल उसको बॉम्बे में पूरा का पूरा पेमेंट कर दे और बोले भाई या वहां पे जाके खाली गुड्स छोड़ देना। दूसरा, निहाल बोले मेरे से पैसा नहीं मांगने का, पैसा जाके शिवी से। तो याद रखना, अगर निहाल ने यहाँ पर टैक्स या निहाल ने यहाँ पर ट्रांसपोर्ट वाले को पैसा दिया है, सो फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ जीटीए निहाल इज द रेसिपिएंट। अगर शिवी पैसा देती है तो फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ जीटीए शिवी इज द रेसिपिएंट। सो पर्सन हु पेज फॉर इट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी द रेसिपिएंट। मैं क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
उसके अलावा तो आई बिलीव there remains nothing for this notification, but as I said, here we have discussed notifications pertaining to which section? Section 9(3). But RCM is covered under two sections, section 9(3) as well as section 9. Acha, have you copied this?
I've copied it.
So now let us understand, there are only two supplies over here. The recipient is the promoter. So when I write this, again I am referring to the construction sector. First, supply of goods or services or both in the form of development rights, long-term lease or FSI, which constitute the shortfall for the minimum value of goods prescribed or purchased. अच्छा, ये ठीक है। कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर में है ना एक रिक्वायरमेंट, okay, the requirement is that the rate of GST is 5%, the rate of GST is 7.5% or 7.5% effective and 1% है तो I believe that would be कितना? 7 अरे यार or 1.5%. So the effective rate is 5% or 1%. 5% कहाँ पे लगता है, 1% कहाँ पे लगता है? 1% आपका लगता है 1% आपका लगता है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग स्कीम में, 5% आपका लगता है अदर्स में। सो ये जो 1% और 5% का जो चक्कर है उसमें क्या होता है, गवर्नमेंट बोलती है हमने आपकी रेट ऑफ टैक्स कम कर दी, हमने आपकी रेट ऑफ टैक्स कम कर दी, सो पे काम करो, आपकी जो भी परचेजेस है those purchases have to be 80% from registered persons. 80% आपको किससे खरीदना है, रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से। अगर 80% आप नहीं खरीद पाते, से फॉर एग्जांपल 70% ही खरीद पाते, तो ये जो 10% का गैप है, ये गैप पे आपको आरसीएम पे करना, ये गैप पे आपको क्या पे करना पड़ेगा, आरसीएम। क्लियर?
Yes, sir.
And now please note that this limit of 80% applies to a financial year. So आपको जो भी evaluations करने हैं, that you'll have to do year by year, not project by project, not when the project reaches its completion. Okay, कैसे evaluation होगा? Year by year. See, अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट 5 साल चलता है तो आपको हर साल में ये evaluations करने हैं, and not when the project comes to an end at the end of the 5th. Am I clear with respect to this?
Yes.
Now अबे आपके दिमाग में क्वेश्चन आ रहा होगा, सर यहाँ पर जो 80% है और जो आपने नीचे 10% लिखा है, तो अगर मेरा 75% होता है तो कितना परसेंट लगेगा? 5%. कितना परसेंट लगेगा? 5% पे लगेगा. याद रखना, जैसा अपन ने वो 50,000 का उधर लिमिट देखा था ना फॉर गिफ्ट्स, इट इज नॉट समथिंग लाइक दैट. इट इज अ फिक्स्ड लिमिट के 80% मतलब 80%, और टैक्स भी कितने पर लगने वाला है? ओनली ऑन दी शॉर्टफॉल एंड नॉट ऑन दी एंटायर अमाउंट इफ यू फॉल शॉर्ट. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. अब जब आप अपना नोट देखोगे ना, you will understand कि वहां पर इसको ना 2 पार्ट में ब्रेक किया गया है. एक स्पेसिफिकली फॉर सीमेंट और एक फॉर ऑल दी अदर गुड्स. Why? It is because the rate of GST on cement is 28% and the rate of any other goods is say 5%, 18%. Therefore, they thought it is appropriate to mention about cement separately. Am I clear with respect to this? Am I clear?
Sir.
Now please note, कितने टाइप के गुड्स होते हैं? कैपिटल गुड्स एंड अदर गुड्स. Is this applicable only on other goods or on capital goods? या जो मेरी 80% की लिमिट है वो किस पर अप्लाई होती है? जो 80% की लिमिट है वो तो आपके अदर गुड्स पर अप्लाई होती है. कैपिटल गुड्स तो रह गए. नहीं, छोड़ा उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं. उन्होंने पॉइंट नंबर 3 में लिखा है कैपिटल गुड्स falling under any chapter in the first schedule supplied to a promoter for construction of a project is also covered under RCM. So याद रखना, अगर आप एक प्रमोटर हो, आपकी लगभग, I repeat, लगभग सारी purchases from an unregistered person is covered under RCM. Am I clear? So this is all that I had to say with respect to my charging section, section 9, and I am sure that you have understood it in totality. But still, if there are any queries, feel free to drop your queries in the comment section below. And this is all for the day. Thank you so much.